Hey guys, Atreyu Locs is back, and today I'm going to be talking about two concepts in the lock community as it relates to how to maintain our locks that may seem contradictory if you've really thought about them a lot. What are those contradictory concepts? Stay tuned. Okay, so if you've been in the game for a little while, we all know that it is important to moisturize your locks. And we know that oil is not a moisturizer. We know that just by putting oil on our locks, that does not moisturize our locks. A natural moisturizer is water. And so many of us also know that if we spray, for instance, if I sprayed my locks with rose water and then put an oil on top of it, I would have moisturized locks. One, the rose water would moisturize my locks, and then the oil would seal in the moisture. I'm sure you guys have heard that expression, seal in the moisture. The oil works as a sealant, okay? So, as I said, if you've been in the game for a little while, you definitely know that. Let's take that, put that over here. All right, so that's one concept. Let's go to the other concept, which is we don't want our locks, our dreads, to be damp for too long. Why? Because we could develop mold and mildew, and nobody wants stinky dreads, right? So we know that we should not go to bed right after washing our hair. We know that if we do wash our hair, we shouldn't put it up in a ponytail and leave it in that state for several hours, because those inner locks that are in the ponytail will not have exposure to fresh air and won't be able to dry thoroughly. We also know that we should let our hair down if possible and just let our locks be kind of free so that they can get that air. We know that when we get out of the shower, it's important to squeeze as much moisture as is possible to get that excess wetness out. We know that we can put a microfiber towel on our head and just kind of let it stay there to absorb that extra moisture. These are things we know. Too much moisture is bad for our locks. A considerable amount of moisture leads to mold. All right, let's put that concept over here. So, how do we reconcile wanting to seal in moisture into our locks with the fact that we don't want our locks to be too wet because we're going to get mold? How can those two things coexist? Good question. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so first of all, it is important to really think about what we're doing when we are sealing that moisture in our locks. So we spread our locks with rose water in this case, and then we seal them with some oil. I mix carrier oils with an essential oil. So when you think about what's really going on in that situation, not only is that oil preventing the escape or the evaporation of the moisture that you infused into your hair, but it's also preventing any moisture from getting in. So if I were to spray my hair again with rose water after I sealed it, it would significantly decrease how much moisture would actually get into my locks. Why? Because oil and water do not mix. They never have, right? And so not only am I keeping that moisture in, but I am keeping more moisture from getting in. I'm keeping the ambient moisture also out. And as a result, I am cutting off the supply of moisture. So think about mold again. How does mold form? How does it grow? You need a considerable amount of moisture, and you need a sustained source of this moisture as well. Well, if that sealant has cut off the source of moisture, well, one, I don't have a source of moisture, and two, it's not a considerable amount, right? So actually that oil kind of works to demolish the conditions from which mold would grow in your locks. Not to mention, many essential oils have antimicrobial properties. Okay, many of them are antibacterial and antifungal. For instance, tea tree oil. We all have heard of tea tree oil. So that also, just by the very fact that we're also using an essential oil, that also works against mold growing into our locks. So I hope this kind of helps you understand how you can do both. How you can put moisture into your locks, seal it in, and then but also not develop mold from doing that very act. The oil that you seal it in with, that only delays how fast your hair dries out. And the reason we don't want dry hair is because it can become brittle and break off. It doesn't keep the moisture in indefinitely, as is evidenced by the fact that some people moisturize their hair every other day, twice a week, etc. It also does not leave your hair with exposure to a considerable, sustained, continuous source of moisture either, which is why you don't have to worry about developing mold from doing it. So I hope this helps, and yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.